Hello, and once again, we are live with the Mini-Me Yoga podcast and YouTube channel, and we are gathered today for our monthly frank talk on hot topics. And I think it's a little bit sad what's going on in the world right now. And our original plan was to talk about, child's play and the importance of children being able to play, for academic purposes, for healing, for growth. And we actually thought this topic would just be perfect for what most children are experiencing now. They're watching the news or seeing people very divided. So I wanted to ask our panel of experts, you're all working in different areas, working with different children, and how is it impacting them? The stories of the wars that are going on, and the separation of what adults believe. What have you been noticing? I'll throw it out to the group.
Yeah, I mean, I think as we know, children are just so aware of what's going on and they're listening to everything. So even if they're young and we think, oh my goodness, they're too young, they're too young to know what's going on, or even if we think they're not sitting down and watching the news with us, they're still aware of what's happening with us. And we're obviously watching the news and like everyone at the moment, probably very affected by what's happening. And so kids are picking up on that. And I think even just talking to each other, adults talking to adults about what's happening in the world. And this goes for anything that's happening in the world at any time. Children are always listening. And I think it's just so important for us to, involve them appropriately. So I don't think we should pretend that things aren't happening or not tell them what's going on, but we just have to be really careful about how we're delivering that. And I think children naturally want to find solutions. They naturally look for a solution. So what's really good when delivering bad news of any kind, I think we even touched on this in our last podcast when we were talking about death, that it's how you deliver something and then following up with, well, what can we do? How can we be of help from where we are? How can we, I suppose, contribute to helping the kids or the people who are suffering at the moment? And we know as Mini-Me Yoga ambassadors, one of our exercises is sending out love. And this is just a perfect exercise for right now, because it really fosters compassion. It really builds on children's awareness. It allows them to feel that they are helping in some way. And I think, that is really good for kids. It's really good for kids to know, I can do something positive.
I'm going to go from a counselling and psychotherapy view. Okay. So unfortunately, on my account, that I usually get the aftermath. So I'm going to go from a COVID point of view, because that's the only point of view I have. So when this is all over, not over, but when it comes dribbling into mine, thankfully I've got COVID as an example, so that I can help the young people. Now, unfortunately, with Clair Louise is absolutely correct in the fact that they listen. And also that it's correct. Clair Louise is correct in the fact that we need to say it correctly and how we work with them through it. Okay. And because unfortunately, with quite a lot of the COVID young people, even to year 3, and I'll tell you a little example in a second. Unfortunately, adults, because it was something new, didn't do it quite wholesomely for the children, and I and many of my colleagues probably, and still today, are dealing with the aftermath of that. So what am I saying? Well, basically, with COVID, which is very similar to this war. I know that sounds daft, but the fact that they're listening. They listen to that maybe Mabel down the road might be feeling really, really ill, and she's all on her own. So I had to talk to them and say, well, actually, Miss Mabel down the road has a mummy and a daddy, or have children, and do you see what I mean? And so that they were able to see that it wasn't their responsibility. It's not their responsibility to take care of every single person, and that, I think, was the mistakes maybe that adults have made, and loads of adults have made, that they didn't include, like Clair Louise is saying, include and actually explain to them that, yes, this is happening, this is what's going on, but it's not yours. It doesn't belong to you. You don't have to worry about it. You have to worry about whether you're in the right pair of socks this week, or you're going out and playing with your friend Fred. You know, it's all that they have to worry about. It's adults' job to worry about the war, and I think children were just left with COVID to try and figure out why is mum really getting stressed about going down to Tesco's. Maybe I need to be worried about it. And these are so we're talking about 8, 9, even earlier children. So it's about how we manage that. So that's my inclusion.
Thank you.
I think Clair Louise is right. We have a beautiful tool in Mini Yoga, and I use it quite a lot to start the day as well. So in schools, or even for myself at home, you know, if I'm feeling a bit wobbly, if I'm feeling a bit not quite right, or something's upset me, or it's playing on my mind, I will often sit and do our and send that love, that positivity to myself, to people who are directly around me, but then also the wider community, because it's a way and a strategy that we can cope. But also, we don't know how we all start our days. We don't know what we've seen, what we've heard. And I don't think it's just about what's going on in terms of the world right now, in the wider world, but also in our homes, in our day-to-day interactions and reactions of things. You know, we in Mini Yoga talk a lot about Dr. Emoto and words and the impact of words. And we also know that media, social media, the media on the news, spin it however they want us to hear it. So we don't necessarily get the full story. So that can be quite frustrating for some people as well. We're only hearing like snippets of it, not the whole big picture. And so the is a way to just kind of stop for a moment and take a breath. And I think sometimes if some of us in higher places took more of a breath and thought about it and just stopped for a second and had that compassion or had that empathy and understanding, we may have played things out very differently in lots of different scenarios. But it's that reassurance that, you know, I can calm my nervous system from within as well, which a lot of children and adults need that on a daily basis, several times a day.
Karina.
Absolutely. I think with the forest school sessions that we've been holding, our space is for the children and they do and make what they want. And having the same sort of routine like we do with Mini Yoga, we all come together at the beginning and the end of our sessions, and we quite often do an and send it. And it's quite nice and it brings us all together. And I think within the forest school place, it's their space. They make of it what they want, and it's the same sort of thing every week. And we're back tomorrow all together. So it'll be nice for them to have somewhere that's, you know, theirs and has not been damaged by any of this horrible things that are going on around them. And they'll just be able to get back and just be in their trees or laying on the floor or, you know, playing in the sandpit or making the crafts that we've got, and just having some space to be children tomorrow. And I can't wait to see it.
It's so fascinating because actually the exercise was actually created when I first started children's yoga, sending out love, you know, with the heart and the heart vibrating with the arm. And it was because the children I was working with were all going through civil unrest, war. And this is what, and they had friends and family that were on both sides, you know, that had all been at one community. And so some of, you know, the parents had been taken away, and all sorts of different horror stories that you hear in war. And so the was a way that we could help the children connect with those that were, you know, away from them, a way that they could send positive energy or love or whatever was needed to whoever was out there, and give them a way to you know, to be participate, but also do it in a way that creates positivity, because it's very easy when parents are angry at one side or the other, and maybe they don't think that they are one-sided or not, but we tend to be, because we're humans. And and so therefore it can be very confusing, and I think it gives everybody space to be able to just send out love, because we know from a metaphysical perspective that like attracts like. So if we're sending out love, if we're sending out positive thoughts, it sends ripple effects across the universe. It sends ripple effects across our whole family, everyone, and it uplifts us all. So just a simple play, something that you can play that creates a positive energy or love or unity or whatever it is not child's play. Actually, it's something that's really, really needed in the world, and the way that we can shift negative energies or shift negative thoughts or upset is to combat it by bringing love and light, because the light will always prevail. So so talking about this subject, what are your thoughts on child's play? Are we getting enough of it? Are the children getting enough of it? What do we need to see, and what are the effects? Give us some positive effects. What's going on when we're playing as children? Children are playing and adults are playing as children. Throwing it out again.
I think the first thing to say is we definitely don't play enough, and I know that lots of us, myself, but being a trained teacher, have that internal battle when we're teaching, because we want to be more playful, we want to be more creative, and yet we have so many barriers put in place because we have to do certain things a certain way, or we have to follow a certain system. And that's one of the reasons I left teaching, because I didn't want to do it that way. I wanted to be creative. I wanted to allow that opportunity. And I know Clair Louise is has a different education background, and I'm in awe of that. That's what I want my daughter hopefully to go and experience, because we do need to do that. We do need to have more play, and that isn't just as children but also as adults as well, feeding that inner child and having the opportunity to have fun, to have laughter, without having a huge pressure of all these other things. Because I don't know about anyone else, but I feel like we grow up way too quickly these days with everything that is around us. We are just exposed to more and more things, but at the same time then higher expectations constantly, and not that enough space to just be, experience and play, really.
Clair Louise, you Montessori is about play. Tell us more.
Yeah, I mean, I think just going off the back of what Vicki was saying there, it's so true, isn't it? Like, it's a really simple formula. The formula is really simple. So we know when you're playing, you're having fun, and when you're having fun, you're happy, and when you're happy, you're going to be more inclined to learn more, because you're learning in a place that's very positive, so you're open to it. And so that's a very simple formula that works. We know ourselves, if you're studying a subject that you're not interested in, you're going to be quite closed down to it, so it's going to be a struggle to learn the information that you're trying to learn. If you're studying something that you really like and you're in a better place, that information comes easier. So it's exactly the same with play. Children learn so much through play, and I think we underestimate that. We really underestimate that. And yeah, I mean, Montessori is very much about freedom of movement, freedom of choice. So if children's choice that day is to play, that's a form of learning. It's no less important than choosing to sit down and do number work. It's really respected as a approach to learning. And here in Luxembourg, it's an incredible approach. I was telling the girls when I saw them in September at the conference, they have this great approach here in Luxembourg, that they don't start teaching academically until the children are kind of 5-6 years of age. So 6 really. So Willow's in school now, my little girl, so she's 3. And from 3 until 6, she'll play. So it's structured play, you know, so they're learning. I mean, she's, you know, she comes home with things here and you can see that they've been working a little bit on colours. But again, like the Montessori method, there's a lot of freedom. So if the children decide today, I just want to play outside all day, that's fine, go for it. And if they want to come in and do some colouring, that's fine. But they really focus on exposure to languages here. So languages is a big thing. And they feel that the best way for children to learn languages is through play. And I see it. I mean, Willow's been in school for 6 weeks and she's speaking Luxembourgish. I mean, we don't speak Luxembourgish at home. She went to a German creche and a French creche. This is her first time really learning Luxembourgish. And in 6 weeks, she is speaking Luxembourgish. She's 3 years of age. And she has learned all of that through play. Because the children all talk to each other in the languages that they're used to, and they learn that from each other. I mean, the kids at school are learning English just through Willow because she talks to them in English. So that in itself shows you that if the teachers were sitting those kids down and teaching them Luxembourgish as a subject, there is no way that Willow would have as much Luxembourgish as she does now through play, you know. And it's fascinating because it for me, what I love about it is that it emphasizes the importance of that. And I think it should be like that all the way through. I mean, I know there has to be, you know, academic subjects introduced. We know that's going to happen. But I think sometimes there's so much pressure put on children that there is no room for anything other than, you know, let's get down, get these maths, do these sums, do this English homework. And, you know, there's no room for play. Nobody's encouraging it. And I think that's why, like Vicki said, we kind of become too grown up too soon. And the reality is, you know, life is going to be stressful as we grow up, and, you know, kids grow up and become adults. There will be bills to pay and mortgages to pay and jobs to attend to and days that are stressful. That's going to happen. We know that's going to happen. That's part of life. So isn't that enough seriousness, really? Isn't that enough? You know, what we really need to focus on is keeping this element of fun alive. We have to do better at that.
So from a mental health perspective, Jo, so, you know, if we're encouraging parents and children to play and have more fun, what effect does that have on mental health?
Considerable amount. I mean, mental health, fun and play is social. So with regards to the modality that I go by life tasks. Okay, so I'm Adlerian, so it's all about socialness and the ability to gather as a social being. And the life task. So I've adapted the life task for children. So when I speak to them in the very first session, I find out who is around them. So for instance, the life tasks. So school, I ask them, 1 being the worst you could feel about school, 10 being the best you could feel about school. And they give me a score. And then you know where they are within that school area. And then the same with we have friends, we have family, we have where they want to be and who they are. And so they give themselves a score of self as well. And then I ask them things like, so what makes two things that they think they're good at, so it's all about knowing themselves. And if they were an animal, what would they be? What age would they like to be? And what's their wishes? And so with mental health and fun and play, it goes hand in hand. Without it, you find out in the first sessions with children if they're not actually being social. So if they're not being social, they're not having fun. And I also noticed that children, we as babies, when we're babies, we sleep, we eat, and we poo, and various other things. But when you get older, okay, the governments, especially the UK, make us continue to do work through the day. Okay, but our bodies are still growing, our minds are still growing. And instead of like a wonderful Clair Louise's playing and having fun and enjoying the day, we have to learn 1 hour, 2 hour, 3 hour, 4 hour, 5 hour, and then, okay, you can go home now. But you're so knackered. So and I think Italy has, perhaps Europe has a better way of looking at it. They have siestas and they sleep and they go home and you have rest, or you go and have some fun with your mates for a bit. and then you come back later and do a bit of learning. I've got one client who is what they call in my school PSPs, okay, which means that there is a specific amount of lessons or whatever that she has to attend to, and the rest of the time she goes home and enjoys spending time doing whatever she wants to do, and she is so much happier. So that there it is, and she no longer needs to see me. So yeah, play is about social, and we are social beings, and without it we become these individual people that sit on a desk and have to learn.
And Karina, I know the Forest School, it's about play, but you're learning valuable lessons, aren't you, through it's an education. So could you tell us a little bit more about how play works in Forest School arena?
Right, well, it's the fundamental thing. Play is so important in Forest School. It's not just play, it's risk-taking, it's working together as groups, it's working on something individually, it's finding your feet and finding what you want to do and where you want to be within that area. And if you want to go and climb the tree and you struggle a bit, you ask for help, and the next time you try and you do it. I had a little preschooler, she'd never climbed a tree before, and I stood near the tree because obviously, they're tiny. Some of these kids are just 4. I can't climb the tree. I can't climb the tree. I said, well, let's learn together how to climb this tree. And, she got up the tree, and the first thing her mum said to me when she picked her up that evening was, she's never done that before. I'd never let her do that before. And it's learning through play and risk-taking. And it's learning that you can do things and that you have got it within you to do it. And you may not do it the first week. It may take you 3 or 4 sessions to do it. And it's just about finding how you can do it and how you can achieve what you want to achieve and that end goal. And it doesn't matter what it is, or, it might be that you want to learn how to light a fire, and it might take you the whole of the term to learn how to use the strike and flint properly to get this fire going. And some of the children, they're just so amazing, and they're so thrilled and so proud of themselves. And it's the only time I ever see that thrill and joy in those children. And it's just, they're fizzing, they're amazing, they absolutely love it. And it's just not, I wish every child could do it, for every day of the week.
Yeah, I know.
2 hours isn't enough.
Yeah, I think we're all on that same page. Yeah, I mean, the talk is coming to an end now. We're almost, a kind of a rounding off time. And what I would suggest is, if you're at home, if you're listening to this, and you're wondering how to bring play in to your child's life, because maybe the school isn't able to do that. Maybe there's a lot of different reasons. Maybe you're the grandparent, maybe you're the auntie, maybe, whoever you are. We do have ways of helping and supporting you, and this panel here are all experts, and you can message us, and I'll pop you in touch with any of the panel members if you're wondering how you can integrate that into your daily life. And it doesn't have to take very long. We're not saying it has to be an hour or whatever it is. Sometimes it's just 5 minutes of play. The studies show that just simple 15 minutes a day will change the way that your child responds to academic work and relationships and health and all sorts of different things. So this is well worth it. So please email us info@minimiyoga.com, and I'll put you in touch with the panel members that are nearest to you. They can help you and they can support you through that. And I hope that we've kind of changed your mind a little bit on child's play and why it's so important. It's not just something that's to be an afterthought. Any final quick words from anyone?
I'd just jump in just quickly to say as well, it is such a wonderful bonding experience to play with your children. So whether you're a parent or whether you're a teacher or whether you're a caregiver, it is the most powerful way to bond with your child, is to play with them. And it is absolutely how core memories are made. And so again, it shouldn't be underestimated. And children really, as we know, they want your time more than any other toy in the toy shop. They want your time. So if you can spend time playing with them, being silly, getting really silly, putting on costumes, messing around, this is what they will appreciate more than anything.
Have fun.
Yeah.
I think we're all in agreement. We'll have fun, and we're going to wave goodbye to all of you. And thank you for joining us. And if you need any help or assistance, give us a call. We're always ready to help and give advice. So we'll see you all again next month. Take care for now.